What's up, everybody? Today on Knife Banter, me and Dallas are out in the truck headed towards the miscellaneous wilderness. I hope you guys are excited because we're testing some survival knives.
Yes, we are.
It's gonna be a blast. Let's talk knives. All right, guys, we made it. We're out in the woods, secret spot. First thing, we gotta unload the truck. Then, first obstacle, let's start a fire. See you there. What's up?
Hi, Kurt.
All right, guys, so first off, we wanna talk to you guys about how we are not bushcraft or survival pros, but we definitely dabble in it. It's in our wheelhouse. We love camping, hunting, the outdoors, and we're gonna show you guys how even someone who isn't professionally trained can still do this stuff. First up, you're gonna baton.
I'm gonna baton. Thanks, Kurt. Oh, okay. All right, folks. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna baton. I sourced this. I picked this up in the trees here and just carved me a little handle so it doesn't give me some hot spots. I'm gonna baton with the SE5 and the butt compadre. We'll do just like, a couple whacks from each and move on. Now I'll switch over to the SE5. This one here's a little beefier. It can take a little bigger of a bite out of that log. There you have it. Alrighty, folks, I use the SE5. It has the flat grind. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit bigger than the compadre. As far as stock, it's a little thicker. This thing here is made for the heavy work, batoning, feather sticking. I would use it personally for the heavier work. The compadre, as you saw though, did a fantastic job as well. If you're worried about weight, maybe the compadre might be the better bet over the little chunkier SE5, but if you're looking for something that can do, a big knife can do small knife jobs. Small knives can't do big knife jobs. All right, guys, back to Kurt.
All right, guys, next up, we're gonna try to spark this fire. I've got a nest built out. I'm gonna use the Firecraft 3.5. Just because it comes with the fire steel and it says fire in the name, and that's really cool. And it does have the choil for the chingaderas. Here we go. I'm ready for stew.
Now we're going to do some food processing. I'm going to rotate through the knives as I process the food, and let's get to cooking.
All right, guys, up next, we're gonna build a shelter. We're not gonna do a full shelter with pine boughs and everything, just because we're not actually out here surviving. We don't wanna cut down some pine boughs, but we are gonna just kind of throw up a basic structure of a lean-to and get some beautiful action of these knives chopping through some of the branches. So let's do it. Well, we did a whole bunch of different tasks, played with all the knives quite thoroughly, even in between when we're shooting. There was like 20 minutes of silence except for clock, clock, clock. You could hear all this knocking across throughout the freaking woods over here because we all got ADD and we went and started chopping stuff.
Started chopping up sticks and knocking off branches off the little sticks we wanted to carve, and
it was pretty fun. Okay, so carving, we also had this carving challenge where we decided to carve a spoon. And this was, me and Dallas just went home and carved a spoon over the weekend. Yeah. I think I spent like 3+ hours.
Oh yeah.
3-4 hours.
Well, the internet said 20 minutes. Man, were they wrong.
So what we did was, me and Dallas, we took some photos from our phones of us carving these, and the whole goal was to use these to feast on the beautiful stew that is brought to you by you.
What'd you use to carve your spoon with, Kurt?
I used the SE5. Yep. Wait, hang on, I could still get some work in here.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, man, I started out with a log of aspen, like about this wide, and batoned it in half, and then just kind of like drew a shape and just started going.
You know, Kurt, your 6-inch log made me giggle when you texted me and said, "There's a spoon in there somewhere." Yeah, there is. There's a soup ladle.
Seriously, removing material. Okay, so I took home the SE5, I took home the strong arm, and I took home the Firecraft. Halfway through, I was like, oh, this thing is so heavy. My arm was like, I was dying. But I tried the other knives and it just wasn't, it couldn't push through enough material at a time. Yeah. So I went back to the SE5 and I just, did what I could. This was interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, getting in the little, I guess the spoon or the bowl part of the spoon. I don't know what it's called. I took home the Falk knife, the Mora knife, and I took home the buck. Oops. I started carving, I batoned with the buck once, because I split like 3 or 4 logs. I wanted to kind of see what I could figure out. I started one spoon with the buck and the Mora, and split the log, like the stick I was using, split it right in half. Then I went to the Falk knife and that S1 Pro. Yeah. Man, I'll tell you, that's what did 95% of my little spoon. Even inside here, I really like this. I tried the Mora. The Mora did fine, but for whatever reason, the Falk knife was the S1 Pro was the one I went with.
Okay, so which one or two would you take?
I would probably take the Essie or the Falk knife.
Which one?
So here's my problem. That Essie handle is still too big for me. Gotcha. But when it comes to chopping, to processing firewood, chopping potatoes, oh yeah, man, that thing just right through it all. That SE5.
It's like a bulldozer.
So it is a bulldozer, and even though the handle is big, yeah, I will correct my previous statement of it is too big for my hand. It is big and it's bulky in the hand, but when you're chopping, it really made a difference. But for me, I think the Falk knife and the S1 Pro.
Okay, so
that's one I'll take.
For me, hands down, I would take the SE5. Yep. for me, it didn't really give me a hot spot.
Yep.
It's got the weight, you can chop, you can cut, you can even do detail work. Yeah, it might end up being more like
A ladle?
a ladle with a hole there. That's just to drain the excess liquids, right?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. It's a spoon strainer. It's called a strainoon.
The strainoon.
Strainoon.
Wow, that was a stretch.
But I was going to say, I made this.
Oh yeah, show them your spear. And our crude little hut.
I made this. Just like an example, I'm not very good at this, guys. I'm amateur at this, but I made this little fishing spear, you know, with the buck.
Yeah.
And with that hollow grind, you can get in there and get all kinds of detail.
So I want to make this clear. Out of all the knives here, they all did pretty good. They all did.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
But I favored the Falkniven more than anything. Folks, you're not going to go wrong with anything that's here on here. And mind you, there are literally hundreds of other bushcraft or survival knives out there. Head on over to the website, take a look. Some of my favorites that I favor aren't on here.
Oh, well, and
But
there's
then
so
again,
many, right?
exactly. We
And-
don't want to have 100 knives sitting out here trying to process stuff.
Yeah, well, and we have this variety of survival knives, like knives that are made for being out in the woods and working there, and knives that the average guy might have. This was a ton of fun. Honestly, just getting out in the woods, doing some stuff with knives, actually showing how we can work with these things and how they feel and the action and stuff when in use. All I know is I'm ready for some stew.
Let's eat some stew. I'm ready to use my spoon. Hopefully I don't get a splinter.
All right, guys, that's all we have for you today. We're gonna eat some stew, clean up our mess, and get on out of here.
Please leave your campsite better than what you found it. Take your stuff home, folks. Thank you.
My spoon is very dry. My lips like went.
I think I need to soak my spoon in the stew for a while. My lips like
Like
Velcro.
stuck to the wood. Yeah, I didn't think that through.
Don't say it didn't turn out too bad.